later in your life time to live your life instead of your life living you. Most of us, our life is living us, and we was given that life by the designers of this matrix. It's not the life we chose. It's not our best life scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And most people scared to pursue their best life scenario because they all want a safety net. Ain't no safety net when you walk on a tightrope across
Right.
the Grand Canyon. You either gonna make it or you ain't. But you don't know if you don't try.
Rod, the Bhagavad Gita is a 700 verse sacred Hindu scripture, and you said it's part of a Indian epic called the how do you say it?
Mahabharata. Mahabharata.
So we
I can't
have
pronounce it like they pronounce it because I don't talk with the Indian.
indeed.
But yeah,
So Rod, so we have in 2024, we're talking about the Bhagavad Gita. We also have to keep in mind we have Indian woman by the name they say she's a black Indian woman by the name of Kamala Harris running for president. Is there any connection? Is there any prophecy being fulfilled with Kamala being in position to being the first woman Indian president with the name like we think about Kali Yuga? Her name is Kamala Harris. Is there any prophecy being fulfilled if she becomes president, or just the fact that she's running?
it's in India. It's the story of Kamala Devi, which was a goddess. But in the Christian Western tradition, it's the whore of Babylon. Right. So when you look in Revelations, you want to know where you at. Go to the chapter that talk about the whore of Babylon and the fall of the whore of Babylon. That's where we at.
So Kamala represents the whore of Babylon?
Yeah.
Whew.
That's why Joe Brown had to tell you that she sucked her way to the top. She's a Hawk Tua chief. she a Hawk Tua chief.
Oh man.
But look, we be at her head. But first of all, there's more than one Kamala Harris, and one of them is a man. And this is the secret of the whore of Babylon.
Don't start that, Rob. Please don't start that off, man. Don't say that, Rob.
It's more than one Kamala Harris, and one of them is a man. I'm just telling you. A lot of people thought I was crazy, but then they seen the receipts and was like, holy, why we ain't been know that? It's all part of the Statue of Liberty, Eiffel Tower connection with Parthodon of Isis, which is Paris, and the fall of the Babylonian Empire represented by Rome, and Rome is DC proper.
Right.
A lot of us don't know DC was named Rome before they named it Washington, DC. But it was named Rome. And then the seven hills sit there. So they telling us the narrative using the program of the Christian dogma. These stories was taken from ancient texts and they was reworked so that you can't get the true meaning of them unless you figure out the location in which they from. Right? We talk about the Gita, but if you go back to the book of Daniel and it say in the one was hewn from the mountain without the hands of a workman, right? And he rolled down from the mountain to strike the feet of iron and clay, right? Now this is Sun Wukong in China, who was sealed in the mountain for 5,000 years. Right. And then Titicaca came and recited the incantation to free him. And then one of the sorcerers gave her a band to put around his head to control him because he was uncontrollable. That's why they put him in the stone in the first place. But when you get to India, it's no longer the story of Sun Wukong. Now it's the story of Hanuman. Hanuman being the handyman, being the man capable of doing all of the things that need to be done in order to solve the problem. He's able to draw from spiritual sources as well as physical sources and able to put the story together. So when you get over here, you see the monkey and the eagle in the Nazca lines, and the monkey is symbolic of the monkey man, the Sakoma, and the eagle is symbolic of the phoenix taking flight on the awareness that the monkey man is the untamed mind that you need to tame in order to attain the wisdom required. So in the Sun Wukong story, he journeyed to the west to recover the 10 scrolls of wisdom. The 10 scrolls of wisdom is 10 different things that's being used to rule: economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religion, sex, war, and health. All 10 of those things represent the 10 scrolls of wisdom, because when you understand how they're being used against you, you can use the same attack to defend as in Aikido, as in turning the force and momentum of your enemy around and thrusting it back up on you. That's all part of the Earth clans coming together, bringing their great heroes from around the world to form one juggernaut, like the Autobots form one big giant robot, Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime, yes.
Right. Optimus meaning the optimum, meaning the best of, and the prime meaning the original, the first one, the root. So they tell us the story in all of these narratives, but because we've been disassociated from who we was, our natural inclination to put these things together has been undermined and usurped by people that came to undermine and usurp who we were.
What does the Bhagavad Gita, Rod, say about, you was talking about the war in the heavens, and you mentioned Nimrod and it coming down to earth. Does the Bhagavad Gita go into the war that took place in the heavens?
No, it's looking at Earth and it's looking at the families lined up on opposite sides of the battlefield, looking at the war that's being fought on the Earth, not the war fought in the heavens. That's a different scroll.
Is there any connection? You know how Ajwa Kwesi, back in the day, he had the video, Christianity stolen from ancient Kemet. Is the Bhagavad Gita, is it connected to any of the other stories we hear, like let's say the Anunnaki or ancient Kemet or Atlantis or something? Is it connected to any of these other systems?
Yeah, because when you start studying the Vimanas wars, you end up in India, because the Vimana Sutras is also taken from larger chapters of the Mahabharata. And then you have the Vedas, which is the wisdom teachings. The Vedas is contemporary with like Proverbs and Ecclesiastics, but it also tells stories in there, short stories too. So these texts are all what you call ancient pyramid texts. A lot of them is still in scroll form, untranslated, in the Tibetan mountains and in the Vatican library. Those was the ones they wasn't allowed to destroy, because the information they have was critical to the people.
Right.
All hieroglyphics translate. There's no hieroglyphics that don't translate.
So how is these going to translate? What do you mean?
They just don't know the keys to unlock the language.
Right.
But the language will translate itself if you understand body language, because most hieroglyphic writings is taken from the movements of the body when in physical motion. But it's like a scene from an animation.
Ooh, hieroglyphics is imitated body language. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, the ones where you see people playing scenes.
Yeah.
Look, when you reach the alpha brain state and you sitting in the meditative position before the hieroglyphics, if you got the right DNA, they will come to life and play a cartoon for you. The cartoon will play out just like the story being told if you're from the bloodline. But if you're not from the bloodline, the pictures will remain stagnant and still. They won't move. But if you're from the bloodline, while you're looking at them, they'll start to take form. They'll start to move. They'll tap into your energy field, and you will be awakened to what the hieroglyphics say without knowing what they say. That's all part of the awakening. When I say cartoon, I mean animated, like The Simpsons Or matter of fact, they even got an ancient hieroglyphic depiction of Marge Simpson. That blew my mind.
Wow. What do you think about? I had a brother who writes light language, and he wrote some things down, Rod. What do you think about individuals who they go into this automatic writing and they write this language that we may not know what it
That's
is?
readable.
Uh-huh.
It looked like gibberish, but it's readable. It's readable. It's full of symbols. So what he's doing is channeling,
Uh-huh.
but he's not translating the channel.
Right.
So it's like you put your VCR in to record Big Time Saturday Night. You thinking you finna record wrestling, but you recorded the Spanish, what they call Sabado Gigante,
To the
Giant
movie.
Saturday, the Big Saturday. So yeah, so, and now you got it on the video. You know what the hell they saying because you don't speak Spanish,
Right. Right.
right?
Gotcha.
But you got another sense by watching what's going on. You might not speak the language, but you can grasp the basics of what's being displayed in the foreign language. It's the same with that type of channel. If he got to learn that language one symbol at a time.
Mm.
And then it won't be all over the page like that. It's going to either be from top to bottom, from bottom to top, from right to left, or left to right. It won't be all over the page. That's because he haven't tuned in to what the channel is telling him. He's just, being going into what they call an autotonic state where he
Yeah.
just automatically put it on there. He has
Right.
to learn that language. That's his higher consciousness talking to him in an ancient tongue that we haven't used in thousands of years.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Right?
Yes. Shout
Consciously, he don't know what it means, but subconsciously, he know what every one of them things mean.
Shout out to the brother Dave. This is brother. He brought this to the gathering of the masters. You know, it's funny. I said this on one of my previous shows, Rod. He gave this to me, and I folded it, and it got wet. I had it in my bag, and it got wet, and it was like a snowflake formed in the middle of it. Like this is for water right here. It formed right perfectly in the middle. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
there's definitely some power in this writing and what the brother's doing. And I'm gonna tell the brother, like you said, to really tap in one symbol at a time to figure out exactly what's going on here, man.
It's a book called Encyclopedias of Occult Symbols. That's
Mm.
what he needs because he'll see almost all of those symbols in there. And then
Mm.
where you got variations, that's from the twist of the handwriting,
Right, right.
right? So I might write cursive, and my slant in my cursive might be to the right, but you might write cursive, yours might be slanted to the left,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So
Mm.
you got to understand the variations like that. And once you understand those variations, when you see the symbol, now you can use what's called the mirror principle, same but different,
Mm.
right? That's what calligraphy is.
Right, right, right. What man, wow, this is a good. Let me get to I had a few super chat questions. Uh let me see. Somebody said the volcano erupted in Russia signals the awakening of the bear, his cosmic roar. Aquarius, the water bearer, has tsunami warnings in specific Pacific Ring of Fire. What's your thoughts on this, Rod? I don't know what's going on with this.
The Great Bear is Ursa Minor and Ursa Major. This is the what we call it the Big Dipper, Little Dipper.
Mm-hmm.
And the galactic timing in the age of Aquarius is normally signaled by a lot of water phenomena, floods, rainstorms, atmospheric river overrunning the atmospheric banks, it's pouring out on the earth, where it looked like water just pouring out the sky from nowhere, but it's not just pouring out from nowhere. That's the atmospheric river reaching its channel. It's becoming too full. That's the symbol for the spirit of the people of the earth becoming full, um, and overrunning and waking the people up. It's all symbolism until you know what it means, then it's telling you a story. And the story gonna always trace back to the holy drama.
Mm. You know, speaking of the holy drama, and we're talking about the Bhagavad Gita, one of the things it says in it is detachment. You know, we hear a lot about detachment through different spiritual teachers. And one of the things that say is detachment is not that you own nothing. Detachment is that nothing owns you. I want you to elaborate on that a little bit, because when people talk about detachment, sometimes they could confuse it with, you know, with something else, or think it means something that it doesn't mean. So what's your thoughts on this right here, and what detachment is as far as the ancient meaning of detachment, Rod?
So when you look at ownership of material things, right? You
Yeah.
can't take none of that stuff with you. Attachment is holding on to material things as if you can take them into the spiritual world with you. You already got all that stuff in the spiritual world. You just
Right.
got to remember how to get it in the physical, because as above, so below. If you can activate it spiritually, you can activate it physically. The
Mm-hmm.
detachment is not to become obsessed with anything of the physical world, because it's passe. It's all coming and going, and it's going to come and go and come and go and come and go. It's elusive. Once you try to trap it, that's when it break free. But as soon as you let it be free, that's when it condensate on your presence,
Mm-hmm.
right? So people chasing the bag can't never get rich, but the people that don't give a damn, they care, but not too much. They filthy.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
That's the difference.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I seen when we was talking about the writings. You know, a lot of people in the chat started talking about, you know, them writing and them being left-handed or right-handed. One thing I noticed, right, because I play the piano, and even when not just I play the piano, when let's say I have ideas that I write with my left or right hand, I notice my right hand has a different personality than my left hand, Rod. So my left hand, if I play a melody with my left hand, it'll be different. It'll be some shit that my right hand don't think of. Same thing when I'm writing. If I want to think about some thoughts, depending on what hand I use, because I practice using both, a different thought will arise. So this is some shit that we're not used to tapping into, because we're only used to using one hand. So talk to me about do you think it would be easier to tap into ancient knowledge as if we're right-handed, we started writing with our left hand or using our left hand more? What is it about the different personalities of the right and left hand, Rod?
You work the personality difference is the side of the brain. The right hand is using the father side, linear logic. The left hand is using the mother side, abstract. Artists who are ambidextrous have a higher output of creativity than the ones who can only use one hand,
Yeah.
right? You ever seen a child start school in the kindergarten and he left-handed and they keep everything, keep focus, put it in his right hand, put it in, they shifting that child. They don't want him in his right brain. So if you ain't right, what are you?
Mm,
You wrong as hell.
mm, that's a good one.
So they do that on purpose. But some of the children is defiant to them forcing them to write with the right hand. Why? Because the influence of the mother line is so strong it overtakes the child left brain with the right brain. So now they right brain dominant. They more abstract. They more apt to be proficient in the arts and entertainment field than they are in science and technology.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you look at your left hand. That's your feminine expression of your higher self. When you look at your right hand, that's your masculine expression of your physical self.
Hmm.
So it's the spiritual you and the physical you. We used to be ambidextrous,
Yeah.
but that was systematically attacked by the patriarchs to try to keep us from ever accepting matriarchal influence by turning off the right brain of as many masculine entities as possible, then rape them to ruin them, physically rape them to ruin them.
Yeah.
Now they not fit the rule no more. They did that on purpose. They know what they doing. Slimy ass. They did it on purpose.
Yeah.
That's why
Say
you always hear me call out them rogue pedophile cross dressing drag queen priests,
right. Right.
pedophile priest cults,
Mm.
right? Because they know what they doing. If I didn't think they knew what they was doing, I wouldn't be hard on them. But because I know that they know what they're doing, because they wrote about it. They wrote about the dirt they did, and they celebrated it in secret, and then they condemned it in the public. Right? That's why they got to have all that secret squirrel shit going on. While they doing a secret squirrel, they can celebrate all of the wickedness that they do among their peers, but they'll come out and tell us, we not doing no dirt. That's y'all out there. Y'all the criminals. Lock them up. We need a crime bill. We need a war on drugs. They bringing the dope over here, and the same people declaring the war on drugs. They're creating circumstances and situations. That way you don't have to micromanage anybody.
Yeah.
You could create the condition, and the people will respond to the condition by nature. We've been in a perpetual state of war, but we didn't know who the enemy was, so we just fought anybody close.
Yeah.
So we fighting him because I wear blue, he wear red. I wear my cap to the right, he wear his to the left. Come on now. Can we find a better reason to fight each other? Like he broke in my house and tried to rape my sister, so I broke him up. You know, that's a better reason than because he got his hat turned to the left and mine turned to the right. He from a different tribe than I'm from. They turned us against each other. They deliberately sent infiltrators in these programs. They wrote about them. The FBI snitch program. They wrote about it. They got documentaries on it. And they telling you exactly how they infiltrate us in those videos. But we don't know, we don't believe we're in a police state, and we don't believe we've been warlocked for 400 years. So as long as we don't believe it, you can't get out of the condition that you don't accept exists, because now you be fighting in vain. You don't believe it exists. Even though you can see all of the symptoms of it, we're not in control of our economics. We're not in control of our education. We're not in control of our entertainment. We're not in control of our labor, from where we going to work at, how we going to work, when we going to go. We're not in charge of politics. We're not in charge of the religions of the world. Who is in charge? Because I got some questions for them suckers. But they hide and they do everything secret, so they look like they innocent, but they not innocent. They the dirt dealers. Right? They the ones running the kind games on the most amount of people. And they say that the bigger the kind is, the easier it is to run. And that's why we've been trapped in this American corporate kind game for 235, 240 years. Right? Because we didn't know, we thought it was real. We didn't know they was a running game on us. We thought that they was legit. They not legit. We the only ones legit. The original organic Mississippi ruddy red clay dirt walking around the land with this nappy hair to the wavy hair to the straight hair. Right? We came in multiple skin complexions. We didn't just start having light breaks recently. That's old. We used to call them the children of the moon when they was lighter than like these Europeans like. But we had them. They was called the children of the moon. You can read about them in Isis Unveiled by Madame Blavatsky. When she talk about the root races, then she talk about the moon race. And the moon race was the ones who was the light brights before Caucasians came along.
What
Today we would call Ashurics and Syriacs, right? But most of them just, you know, amalgamate back into the main line. And then you end up with these $7.50 Indians. They $5 Indians mixed with real organics. So they $7.50 Indians. They ain't $5 Indians.
Wow. That's $7.50 Indians. Wow. I mean, this brother here had a question in terms of the Bhagavad Gita. He wants to know about the 6 types of aggressors.
Right. That goes to the art of war. That's where the art of war is referenced in the Gita. And it's talking about the character types in the war. It's the same. They teach about it in any psychology class. They're called personality types. right? And the 6 types of aggressor is the 6 agitators. The character types that's most likely to be an agitator in the circumstance that's conducive to him being a aggressor in his personality type based on his surroundings.
Let's get to some questions before we get out here from the people in the chat. Let me put my brother Rod Hayes Cash App up here for those who inquire about donating. Let me see, sick. Hey. All right, so we're gonna get to some Q&A. I'm interested in knowing what's on your minds. Powerful topic, the Bhagavad Gita. We're dealing with ancient text for today's awakening. The brother Rod Hayes, if you would like to show the brother financial support. Somebody asked about Cash App. It's up on the screen. Rod Hayes Cash App, $ SikApe, SIKAPE. All right, y'all. Make sure you'll show the brother Rod Hayes some love, the Cash App love, and we're gonna get to some Q&A before we get out of here. All right. We're gonna start with this first one. What do you feel is the message of the Bhagavad Gita? I guess you kind of already touched on this, but what do you feel the message is of the Bhagavad Gita? I guess the overall message.
The overall message is, in this spiritual war, don't be surprised who your adversary turn out to be.
Woo! Shit. Don't be surprised. What Biggie said in that song? He said, "Your mama have that ass line." What he said? Damn. And with 10 crack commandments, I think it was.
Yeah,
Your mama
he
had
said,
ass. You properly
I
gassed.
can't remember. Yeah,
If y'all remember Biggie's line, he said something about your mom, his mom's, in 10 Crack Commandments about how your own mother will set you up. If y'all remember, put it up, put it in the chat. Anybody who remembers that. But yeah, that's powerful, Rod. That is powerful. I'm gonna take questions about the Bhagavad Gita first. So if you have any particular questions, let me see about the Bhagavad Gita. Let me put it in the chat. Okay, well,
I ain't read that. I ain't read that book in about 20 years.
yeah, wow, damn. Somebody said ask Rod about the 90-foot statue of Hanuman they just unveiled in Texas.
If they that's that like, the size of it matters. 90 feet. I'll have to go and look at the symbolism around it, because the name of the city, the road it's on, all that stuff matter. It's a sign. And Hanuman, Bobby Hemming talked about Hanuman too, by the way, for if y'all want. But Hanuman is the Indian Monkey King, who is similar to Sun Wukong in China. And the Buddha called him Hanuman because he could do anything. So I'm not sure what their motive was. I have to read into it, because it's going to be some signs that will explain why they put it there and what was the motive.
Yeah, I think that's the line from Biggie. Your mama be in the bushes waiting to light that ass up, properly gassed up.
Yeah, properly gassed up. Your mama in the bushes waiting to light that ass up.
Shout out to Notorious B.I.G. Great lyricist. Great lyricist. Somebody says, what does it mean when you return with a sacred symbol imprinted on your skin?
You had a spiritual initiation. If you're talking about when you wake up out of your sleep, you went through a spiritual initiation on either the 4th or 5th dimension, and you had to bring a physical reminder in order to jar your senses so that you can activate that energy in the 3D. Same with birthmarks.
You got a birthmark, Rod?
I don't, but a lot of people that got birthmarks is telling us, like, for instance, in some cultures, they look for an heir that have a familial birthmark that only the heir has. In the islands, Tonga, Samoa, they really big on it, but they keep it concealed so that the settlers wouldn't exploit them with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's what those symbols be. People wake up with scratches on them. They be done went through a spiritual initiation, and sometimes they be done fought off some real wicked, nefarious forces, and you come out with the physical. It's like Morpheus told Neo in the Matrix. The mind makes it real.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Let me this next question. Let me get to this next one. I just seen something here. Where did it go? Where did it go? Somebody said, what does the Bhagavad Gita predate?
It predates the Bible, the Quran, the Torah. Well, all of that stuff is fairly new, but it's just reworks of ancient text. It's older than the Ethiopian Bible. It's pretty old.
Mm-hmm. Is it older than the Sumerian text?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get to
I seen somebody say I must have knew Badine Bishop Wine in the shot. I worked at a club on the west side called Brick Social Club, and I met him in there like 2 or 3 times, but we never carried on any conversation of any significance. I
mm-hmm.
was working as a bouncer, and my extended the conversation was, "Excuse me, brother, can you let these people pass? Thank you, I appreciate it."
Indeed, indeed. Somebody said, any significance of Cleopatra during this time?
Cleopatra was 2,000 years ago, and Cleopatra was way after the Gita.
Mm-hmm. What because there's so much.
Sanskrit is the oldest language that's still spoken. It's the oldest language that's still spoken from the ancient world.
What?
Um, all of these other languages, Latin and Greek and the derivatives, those are all languages that's under 4,000 years old.
What's the oldest language? What are you talking about?
Sanskrit, the language that the
Sanskrit.
Gita is written in.
Sanskrit. Okay.
Right. It's the oldest continuously still spoken language. You have some ancient cultures around the world, but a lot of us has been infiltrated by foreign additions to the local language. But English borrowed a lot of words from Sanskrit, like the word avatar is the Sanskrit word. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
Avatar. I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah. Avatar is a Sanskrit word. It's not English. The word Aryan, not English. The word Aryan is a Sanskrit word, and it don't mean what they tell us it means. The original Aryans was they call them the untouchables now, but they got removed from their seats of power. Them was Inky kids got removed and replaced with Enlil kids that he had with an Earthborn.
Mm-hmm. Who originally who originally rocked the what's the origin? Like we talk about the origin of certain things. We knew Hitler was deep into the occult. And he started snatching symbols and shit. He had the swastika. Who originally rocked the swastika?
The
Rock?
swastika was a symbol from the ancient world that was global. And then it really originally, before they flipped it backwards, it originally meant balance with nature. But when they flipped it backwards, they meant imbalance with nature, belligerent to nature, and it was being used by Hitler to expose the pedophile priest cult.
What you mean?
And
Like,
he came through the Thule Society.
yeah. So what you say balance? What do you mean, like balance with the feminine and masculine?
Balance with the feminine and masculine, and balance with the world around you. So let's say I got a village that I'm feeding and I need to feed them and I got to go on a hunt. We didn't just hunt and just kill something and be done with it. We did a spiritual cleansing process before the hunt. Then when we killed the animal, we did a ceremony over the animal as we took the entrails out and spilt the blood on the ground. All of those things was overseen by priests that used to attend the hunt with the soldiers, with the warriors, with the ones that went out and did the hunt. Now they just take it to the slaughterhouse and slaughter it. But if you get something that's kosher or something that's halal, they have to follow the ancient processes. That's why it's kosher. That's why it's halal, because they following ancient practices in the cleansing of the carcass that they're about to consume.
Is there any connection, Rod? You talked about Yahweh being see, I got the hat here. You talked about Yahweh being a title, representing one who could balance the masculine and feminine. Is
Yeah.
there a connection then between the original swastika and the whole the title of Yahweh being that it's both dealing with balancing masculine and feminine? No? Yes? What?
No, the swastika predate the English, the word Yahweh.
Predates Hebrew. That's why it predates the whole.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Sanskrit is way older than Hebrew. Hebrew's like one of the newer languages.
Yeah, the Hebrew is probably around 8,000 years old, but Sanskrit is at a minimum of 60,000 years old. Those scrolls you've seen,
Yeah.
some of them scrolls date back 200,000-300,000 years.
Woo, man. So what about the glyphs in Kemet? How old is those? The hieroglyphs. How old is that?
Those are about 7,000 years old.
Oh, so that's fairly new.
Yeah, but you gotta remember when Kemet was originally built, they didn't put hieroglyphics on everything.
Right. That
But
was
when the dynastic period came about, they began to write the hieroglyphics that was in the scrolls on in the stone. And this was because they had a prophecy that the human was going to go into a Kali Yuga. And he was going to be ignorant to who he is. So they had to put stuff in writing so we can discover it while we got amnesia and use it as a map to break the amnesia on the first one that can break it on themselves and tell everybody else how to break it. But once you understand the mechanics of the conjure, it don't work on you no more because your spiritual defenses will begin to put protection in those areas by nature. This is why they had to do everything secret squirrel, and we do everything blatant in their face, out in the open, no retreat, no surrender. We just telling you what it is, and follow the oral tradition and inform as many of the clans people as possible because we want to empower our tribes. We don't want to take the power and concentrate it on one individual or two individuals. We want everybody to have a say. In the tribal way, if a 2-year-old got a coherent question, the adult obligated to ask it to the one who have the answer.
Right. But I just seen a question. They want to know, is the Bhagavad Gita designed to help connect you to your soul? Right.
It's wisdom teachings in there. Anything that you learn on earth, you gotta remember. It's unified field theory. All things are interconnected. Being exposed to ancient information is telling you something you knew before you was indoctrinated. There's something that you instinctively knew. Anything that you instinctively knew before you was indoctrinated into ignorance, it is an attempt to wake you up from the slumber. All of those ancient scrolls can facilitate your awakening. They got another one called the Zendavesta. That's from the Middle East. You have the Vedas, which is also a Hindu scroll.
The
Right.
Bob used to talk about the Rig Vedas. The Rig Vedas.
That's also Hindu scroll.
Yeah.
Right. And all of these different texts, they're gonna do something different in the neurology. They're gonna affect the brain different, the information and how you perceive it. If you go in there with your Christian dogma mindset of everything evil but the church, you're gonna just be confuse yourself worse than you was before you went in there. But if you go in with an open mind and a clear conscience and you just a truth seeker, you're gonna open up something in yourself that's gonna allow you to go further.
Right. Rod, they want to know, are any cities in North America corresponding to cities in India that may affect us on the land?
We got twin cities all over. I'm not sure that it's one city in America that's a corresponding city to India. I think the only similarities I can immediately identify is New Orleans is equivalent to Bengali,
Mm,
the ancient city of India, because it's the oldest city that's still inhabited in India. And New Orleans is the oldest capital still inhabited in America.
mm, indeed. Somebody keeps asking this in the chat. I'm gonna let Rod answer your question because you done posted this question 7 times. They want to know, can you speak on on the alignment, the Earth between 4 gas giant?
The gas giants are speaking of certain types of planets. And I think we only got two in our solar system is Jupiter and Saturn, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm,
But the other ones are in the trail, in the planetary trail behind Nibiru,
mhm,
right? And the alignment that he's talking about is a planetary alignment when Nibiru comes by, and they are juxtaposed. The four of them are juxtaposed at only for a short period of time, and it activate higher energies. But the specifically that's happens every probably 36,000 years or so.
mhm.
Whenever Nibiru makes its orbit.
Right. Uh, Somebody said, can you speak on taste mentioned in the Gita? Bittersweet, sour, etc.
Well, you can study the science of taste and get that explained for yourself. That's
Mhm,
an easy topic to research. It's talking about the um it's just giving him all of these little tidbits of understanding to look at things with the spiritual lens in the physical world. All
mhm.
these little tidbits that Lord Krishna is giving Arjuna is like keys to waking up. You looking at taste, you look at sound, smell, sight. You're talking five senses, and this is just the breakdown of the sense of taste.
Mhm. Indeed. This is a question for me. Somebody said, Brother Rich, have you sent out the replay of the gathering? But I haven't received the replay. I started sending them out. You'll get the files are actually they're like 50 gigabytes. So I'm sending out a download, so it's taking a little longer. But half of y'all probably got it. That's in the chat. But you will get it soon, Nelly Barker. You will get it soon. But and I am in the process of sending it out. So you will get it soon, Nelly Barker. Somebody says, what did they call the land of India in Bhagavad Gita?
I don't remember. They got a name for it in there, but I don't remember.
Okay. Let's see what else. About this. Does Rod know anything about some called mitochondrial Eve?
Hmm. That's just the oldest continuous line from women that's been tested from around the world. The common mitochondrial ancestor is known as mitochondrial Eve.
Mm,
They got a National Geographic edition and a documentary on mitochondrial Eve, and they got one on what they call primordial Adam.
mm. Indeed, indeed, indeed. All right, we're gonna do 2 more questions, then we're gonna get out of here. Um, Somebody said, "Can Rod touch? Where's it at? On geomancy? Can Rod touch on geomancy?"
That's the magical science, earth magic science, using the earth element as the primary instrument of your magical practice is called geomancy or charming of the earth. Is what it translates as earth charming.
Indeed, indeed. All right, all right. All right, last question for the night. Are there what y'all be saying? Are there to space and outer space above us and our inner space in the ocean. Do you understand this? I don't.
I have no fucking clue what that's saying.
Brother, y'all gotta, I told y'all this before, the grammar. Y'all gotta, I know y'all gotta get this so we could understand, what y'all saying. You gotta get your grammar together. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, where's this? Maya Mystic wants to know, how do Rod feel about chaos magic and sigils? Can it save the children?
Chaos magic is the ability to use every form of magic that you encounter. That's what true chaos magic is. You're not strictly stuck in one discipline. You use what works. And sigils is a badass science. That's one of the coldest stuff because you can activate the sigil, you can write the sigil, and you can use the sigil indefinitely, and it's going to work.
Mhm, mhm.
Sigil, I refer a lot of people that ask me to sigil magic because it's the same as writing an app for the brain.
Woo! Come on, Rod.
It's the code, it's the app code to create symbols that the brain can gather all this information from.
Powerful, powerful. I was just taking notes when you said that. Oh man. All right. Let's see. I think I'm gonna squeeze one more in. Uh okay. Somebody said, can Rod touch on the three types of hearing according to Hinduism? I don't know about that. I never heard of that.
I'm not sure what they're talking about. 'Cause Hinduism got so many different sciences within its teachings,
Yeah.
and then you got the ones who follow Kali Ma, the Thuggy, and you got the Brahmins. Then you got the ones that's practitioners of Siva, and they all got different sciences that teach different ways
Right.
according to their doctrines, and each one of them got different doctrine. Hinduism, it's not really a religion.
Mm,
Like a religion is used to control people.
mm,
Hinduism is used to break people free spiritually, but they stuck in the caste system because that's a conjure.
mm, 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 Um, somebody wants to know, Rod, can he elaborate on how to tap into your eighth chakra?
First, you got to worry about the seven chakras before you start dealing with the 8, 9, 10, 11,
Right.
right? Which is actually the chakras in your palms and your feet. The other four is to
Mm,
take you to 11, right? But some people believe the eighth chakra is about a foot above your head at the exit of the auric field.
mhm,
But that's not the case. It's so many more chakras in the physical body before you start counting the chakras that are in your etheric body,
mm,
right? So that's like subjective to school of thought.
mhm, mhm. Any chakras in your hand, Rod? You talk about the palm, your feet. Any chakras in your hand?
You right in the center of your palm,
Right in the center of
right
your
there.
palm.
Yeah. If you face your palms together and
Mhm.
you focus,
You feel it.
you could feel it.
Yeah.
That's that's your chi. The stronger you can make that power between the palms, the stronger your auric field is, your spirit body.
Uh-huh.
And that exercise of pushing the palms until you feel that energy field, that's an activation. Once you get it activated, you keep doing it, the stronger you can get it. I mean, people can break the field, it'll literally raise the hair up on their arms in the early stages. But when you get good, you can turn it hot, you can turn it cold, you can make it produce scents, or
Mhm,
you can make it produce moisture.
mhm,
All kind of stuff you could do just with the two chakras of the hand.
mhm,
The feet chakra is designed to communicate with Earth,
mhm,
specifically to communicate with Earth.
mhm,
That's why everybody will tell you the ground, tell you to take your shoes off,
mhm,
because the chakras on the bottom of your feet, it's like every time you standing on the Earth, you plugged in to the earth feels.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put the rubber barrier of the soles of the shoes between it, you break the current.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's one of the tools that they use to accelerate our process of aging
Mm-hmm.
by
You know,
cutting us off from the earth.
right. So, all right. So we all know about healers. We hear the story about Jesus. Last question is coming from me. We hear the stories about Jesus laying hands on people. You know, hands. You just talked about the chi coming out of our hands. You lay hands on people. Sometime if you give a person a massage, you know they feel 1,000 times better after you touch them. You rub them or whatever. Um. So if we're known for thousands of years of healing people with our hands, something else that needs healing is, and that's depleted, is our soil. Can we heal the soil with our hands? Can we lay our hands, because we hear about the feet, but can we lay hands on our soil and heal the soil the same way we do healing people with our hands, Rod, in order to get better
It's
food?
it's a different mind frame and it's a different energy projection. The easiest way to heal barren soil is get you some moringa leaves.
Right, right.
Moringa is like a miracle fertilizer for barren soil,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you could take powdered moringa, mix it with water, saturate some dead soil that won't grow nothing, and all kind of greenery will start popping up.
Yo, I already made up my mind, Rod. I don't care what nobody say. This is what I'm gonna do when I start cooking food. Check this out. I'm gonna, and I'll be, I think like a musician, and me and Dr. B be kicking in about, I even asked Dr. B about, instead of saying affirmations, singing affirmations to your DNA and to your genes and shit. The same way you get the girls' panty wet and you make the girls go crazy, you might be able to make yourselves go crazy by singing in them or whatever, in a good way. I'm gonna have this. Is what I'm gonna have when I have my farm, Rod. I'm gonna hire some singers, and I'm gonna have them sing out in the fields over the place. They say during so-called slavery, we used to sing in the fields. I'm gonna hire people to sing in the fields where the
Listen,
food is at, Rod. They gonna be
they keep
singing.
blaming everything we do on slavery.
Mm,
We were singing to the earth long before slavery was a concept.
there you go. There you go.
Right. We've been using the agency of sound
Mm-hmm,
at least 100,000 years to affect change in the physical reality.
mm-hmm,
That's when they say speak a thing into existence. When you go to Kemet, they talk about the Husi, authoritative utterance with the exceptional insight.
mm-hmm.
And all around the world, Kali Ma with her tongue hanging out, the mother's raised, where she calling you everything but a child of God.
Woo.
All of it is based on sound. It's based on the sound and the vibration of the singing.
Mm-hmm.
It affects the animals. Music soothes the savage beast. That's real.
Yo, that's true. Rod, so check it out. So you all right? So you was on the show. I know I said I was gonna end that. When
Mhm.
shit get good,
Go ahead, go ahead, brother Rich. I ain't got nowhere to go.
it was a show where it was you, Billy, Sharif, and Bdell. And I think that was the show. Remember, I was playing the recorder.
Hmm.
So I was outside late at night, and I was playing the recorder with the what do you call them? The that chirping that be at night. What's that called?
The crickets.
The crickets. Yeah, I was recording the crickets at night. Just experimenting and shit like that. Now, when you play the crickets in reverse, it's the exact same. There's no reverse. There's no reverse, bro. If I say something and I play reverse, you hear them. There's no reverse with the crickets. You got explain that to me, Rod. There's no reverse.
It's because it's only one pitch, one frequency.
Uh-huh. Okay.
There's no other side to it.
Okay.
In order for you to have a reverse, you have a two-sided frequency,
Mm.
or else it's gonna sound the same frontwards or backwards,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And as you move vibrations up the sound barrier, you
Mm-hmm.
got sounds that affect matter, and you got sounds that don't. You got sounds that affect water, cymatics, and you got sounds that don't,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And these experiment with these different sounds causes different things to take place in the energy that's in your surroundings,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Remember, Beethoven has the side effect of causing the child's brain to operate at a genius capacity.
Mm-hmm.
The same with Bach and a couple more of those classical artists.
They were so-called black, right? By the way,
Most of them was.
they.
Beethoven was a brother. Amadeus was a mulatto.
Mm,
Mm.
okay.
It's like how much of the drop of blood you want him to have, depending on, you know, his nature knows no color line.
Yeah.
Warren G. Harding was president turned the 1900s, and they hid his sister out because she was chocolate and he was vanilla.
Mm.
And then somebody on the campaign trail asked him if he was passing. He
Whew.
said, "Ah, well, you asked me. Shoot, I wasn't born yet. There was a whole bunch of jumping back and forth across the fence back in them days. I could be anything."
Wow. Wow. Man.
Yeah, a lot of these people that we think pale faces is passing. Clark Gable, Fred Astaire, J. Edgar Hoover. There's a lot of them. They're just passing.
Yeah.
Jane Mansfield,
Yeah.
Marilyn Monroe. They passing. That's why they got so much star power, because they still had that original drop that they came to get. And now about 80% of these people we think is pale faces is passing.
Mm.
Right? You gotta remember when they called the end to the war, what they called the Emancipation Proclamation, when they took the slaves from the plantation and the government owned them now. All of them people that they so-called set free that was mulattoes, where they go?
Mm.
We don't pay attention to the imitation of life.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. Good point. Yeah.
You know, they all moved into the mainstream pale face communities and married into them, and we think that they a whole different people. They just got lightened up through amalgamation.
Right.
They pass it.
Right. Mm.
And if you want to know if they pass, and all I could tell you is the booty don't lie.
Oh man. And on that note, man, yo, Rod, by the way, yo, Rod, I gotta call you tomorrow. I want to get you back on Patreon to do a follow-up to the what's the what we did, the telepathy joint we did. I want to do a follow-up on extrasensory perception. So I'm definitely gonna call you on that, and we'll try to set that up probably sometime next week or something like that. But man, what a show, y'all. What a show. I know y'all, and you know what be mad fun when we be doing these big panels. When we doing these panels, man. I gotta get you on one of those again, Rod. Gotta get you.
I only like being on the panel with certain people, but you got a pretty good feel of my energy, so you've been
Yeah,
putting me on with everybody that I like to talk to.
you and Billy, y'all always y'all be killing it on the panel together, man. So
Hey, look, when me and Billy get to really spend some time together, man, y'all gonna be mind blown, because he always do something to trigger me to go to another level of knowledge.
indeed.
And by me being able to chop it up with him, just feel his energy in person,
Yeah.
that's gonna be powerful for me.
Oh yeah. We gotta connect y'all in person, man. We gotta do something, man. Man, listen, Rob, man, it was a pleasure having you on here, man. Any information you want to leave the people with to contact you before you get out of here, leave it for the family. We still got about 3,000 people in the room. Shout out to everybody who's in the chat. Let the people know how they could get in touch with you, Rod.
Before I do that, Rich, I want to expound on something I seen in the comments.
Yes.
America is not ancient Egypt. I'm gonna say that again. America is not ancient Egypt. America is not Northwest Africa. Egypt ain't even ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt wasn't called Egypt by the people that lived there.
Mm.
America can't be ancient Egypt, and the term Egypt is a modern Greek term, right? What it is the appropriation of global culture that took place into antediluvian world, covered the whole of the planet. The knowledge of the pyramid priests is the knowledge that built the earth. And that knowledge still exists in all continents. It's just pieces of it have been extracted, and now it's like putting together a big puzzle. The original Temple of Isis was in the Arizona, what we call the Grand Canyon. And there was the original pyramid complex. This was the great Atlant that they became known as Atlantis after Plato called it Atlantis. But it wasn't Atlantis, it was the great Atlant.
Right.
And the Atlanta is more properly named than Atlantis is. The people that they thawed out in Antarctica are ancient Atlanteans. They Lemurian Atlanteans. That was a flash froze civilization, and they thawed some of them people out. And then they told us this fabricated story that these people was part of an experiment of some people they brought from Africa. The same BS they told us about us over here. Them people that they was in Antarctica was already there. They already was there, frozen in the ice, and they used the cryostasis recovery method to thaw them people out. And that's when they found out that they didn't effed around, right? So when people start trying to designate Turtle Island as Egypt or ancient Egypt or North Africa, it's because they're trying to disassociate us from this landmass as a people that was already here before any other settlers came. We were amalgamating and mixing with both Asians and Africans long before Columbus was even born.